Welcome everyone. So this is week 6, meditation lesson 6. By this stage in the program we've of course been through quite a lot of the groundwork, quite a bit of the theory around mindfulness practice. So very soon we shall get straight into a 20-minute practice. The only new bit of sort of theory that I wanted to introduce before I did that is perhaps just a little bit more focus on the attitudinal foundations of mindfulness and mindful meditation practice, which if you were to Google it, you'll find that Jon Kabat-Zinn originally defined these down to 7. He added a couple. So, strictly speaking, there are 9 attitudinal foundations now. It's not really important that we learn them, I don't think, for the purposes of this particular session. But what I'll try and do as I guide the meditation itself is perhaps incorporate more overtly than perhaps I've done previously these attitudinal foundations into what we're doing. And it's stuff like accepting that things don't always go to plan, accepting that this mindful meditation practice won't be perfect. Of course, there's no such thing. We talk about striving and non-striving, so this idea that we don't have to work too hard really in this meditation practice to strive to make it one thing or another, because ultimately mindful meditation practice is about connecting with what is going on in your body, your mind, your emotions, your breath. Patience. The idea that mindful meditation is a process underpinned by patience. We don't have to rush to get to a particular goal, a particular outcome, a particular stage in our meditation practice, our meditation training. A trust, perhaps, another attitudinal foundation, a trust that this process has a dynamic of its own. It'll evolve in its own time. We don't have to push it. We don't have to boss it, control it, direct it. So these are the kinds of attitudinal foundations that we bring into practice. Curiosity, a beginner's mind. Noticing things perhaps as if we're noticing them for the first time, really inquiring into them, no matter how simple the observation might be, really just almost a childlike innocence almost in terms of what we're noticing, just really connecting with it. So let's perhaps just have these in mind as we go into our 20-minute practice, which as ever starts with a deep, alerting breath in, as we go into our arrival breaths. 1, 2, 3. And as we continue to breathe, arriving in this practice, we think about the importance of posture, an upright, dignified posture, as we breathe. This idea that a dignified posture can support and inform our intention as we come into this practice. Intention being one of the key axioms of mindfulness. The intention to connect with our body, our mind, our emotions, through our breathing, as we remember to breathe. but an intention which is qualified by the idea really that all that we can do is try. All that we can do is try and be with ourselves in this practice. We can't actually, and we shouldn't try and guarantee that outcome. It's not really what it's about. Yeah, so this intention to be in this practice, this intention to try and connect with our bodily sensations, our emotions, and our thoughts. As we think about how our posture, again upright and straight and dignified, might link to certain attitudes of mindfulness, and as indicated in my introduction, John Kabat-Zinn attempted to codify the attitudinal foundations that inform a healthy approach to mindfulness practice. So, as we try through our intention, the first axiom of mindfulness, we really understand that try is the operative word. That there is a non-judgment that we should try and hold on to. If we don't succeed, an acceptance that we won't succeed, a letting go of our perhaps neurotic need for things to be perfect, to go to plan. Really give yourself permission, to be kind, to let go, to be accepting, to be patient as we practice, as we breathe in, as we breathe in, and we breathe out. Acknowledging and accepting that our minds are very likely to wander, despite our best intentions. And that when this happens, the word I use is when, not if it happens, when it happens. Remembering this very simple invitation, this very simple technique in our practice, that we notice that our mind has wandered and we come back to the breath. This breath. Really trusting that we do have permission to approach our practice in this way, with all these warm, kind, generous attitudes of mind. But also perhaps thinking about how this idea of dignity and posture speaks to different sorts of attitudes, which perhaps are more muscular. An attitude of confidence, of self-confidence, being unapologetic about the time that we're spending doing this. Really putting to one side, even if we can't banish any lingering doubts and thoughts about this being perhaps some kind of self-indulgence, some kind of wishy-washy nonsense. Remembering that in the Eastern meditation tradition. We have 2,500 years of people saying that this stuff helps them. Being curious about that. Adopting a beginner's mind. What if they're right? Because the evidence strongly suggests that they are absolutely right. And if in the West we need academic evidence, if we need data, if we need papers, scientific evidence, then we've got it now. Increasingly we've got it in the psychological literature and the neuroscientific literature. Plenty of evidence backing up the idea that mindful meditation practice can underpin mental equilibrium, can help to regulate our relationship with stress and challenge, regulate our emotions, attention, control, concentration. All of these things are improved by regular meditation and other mindful practice as we continue to breathe as fully, as deeply as we feel happy with, as feels right. As we link our posture again, checking with our posture upright if we can, straight backed if we can, dignified posture. Linking to the final axiom of mindfulness, which is alertness, or rather awareness. And through an alert posture we can connect and embody awareness. An awareness of what is. Remember the idea of mindfulness as a mirror. Simply holding up the mirror to reflect back what is, and letting go of what isn't, not striving to make this look, feel, play out in a particular way. It doesn't need to conform to a template of perfect practice. It just needs to be you trying to connect with your body, noticing your emotions, noticing your thoughts, and coming back to the breath when you do. As we bring these ideas around alertness into the body, perhaps starting at the tips of our toes, soles of our feet, as we continue to breathe, feeling for any sensations in those areas, tuning into any sensations, feeling our footwear perhaps wrapping around the tops of our feet as well as the bottom, inquiring as to how that feels as we breathe. As we come up through our ankles, through our calves, our shins, really tuning in to the textures and feelings of skin and bone and muscle. As we turn towards and breathe into perhaps our knees, feeling the space that these joints occupy in our bodies. any sensations, any bodily information, signals coming from our knees. As we slide our attention across and through our thigh muscles, into our buttocks, and if we are sitting, perhaps noticing what is likely to be, which is a tenseness, tension of sorts in your buttocks as they perform a job in your body of keeping your back, your spine at right angles to your thighs if you're sitting. Perhaps having a sense of your buttocks in the context of its relationship with your spine, the bottom of your spine, your pelvis, as we bring our attention up through the bottom of our spine, up through the middle of our spine, through our back, the muscles in our back, up into the top of our spine. As we perhaps connect now with our shoulder blades, our shoulder joints, perhaps inviting you to roll those joints around, perhaps connecting with your neck, rolling your neck if that feels appropriate, and perhaps just pausing to tune in to the sensations, the body tone that those movements leave behind. As your attention goes through your biceps, triceps, over into around the elbows, into your forearms, noticing any sensations, noticing their tone, gentle, extreme, tingly, pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. Remembering to accept what we're seeing in that mirror of mindfulness and not worrying if we don't feel anything. Just tuning in to what, if anything, is there. As we come up through back through our hands, fingers, fingertips, up through our wrists, forearms, up through our arms, our biceps, triceps, shoulders, neck, into our jaws. Perhaps moving those jaws if that feels right. Noticing any body sensations, any tones that leaves in our jaw. As we gravitate, or levitate even, rise in any event up through our head into our temples, which can sometimes be a reservoir for tension, discomfort, pain, headaches, migraines. Just breathing, remembering to breathe. And remembering not to judge if during this practice your mind has wandered, as it is very likely to do. Remembering that you always had that option, which you may have taken to come back to the breath. This breath. As we perhaps now really tune in to our breathing. Remembering that guidance from the 3-minute breathing space at step 2, which invites you to really Tune into your breath as it comes in through your nostrils, through your nose, hitting your nasal cavity at the back of your throat, down your windpipe, into your chest, into your lungs, expanding your chest, oxygenating your blood, rapidly oxygenating your whole body. Remarkable biological process. And then expelling our toxic breath. This breath that cleanses our bodies and oxygenates it. Perhaps for a moment just reflecting on the miracle that is every single breath that we take. Remarking and holding the preciousness of it. Its finite, unique quality. Each one of these breaths, remember, is a once in a lifetime event. You cannot have that breath again. So cherishing our breath, each and every breath, as I invite you to really breathe, connecting with your breath for a few moments in silence. As we now think about transitioning from this practice back into the real world and taking our exit breaths, our first of our exit breaths in and out, in and out, in and out, as we open our eyes and perhaps just pause to take in the environment around us, the richness of it, what we can see, what we can feel, what we can smell, perhaps even what we can touch. And we'll leave it there for this lesson.